Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to Disc Golf Chat episode 11. Today we got Josh over here. There we go, Josh from Overthrow. What's going on?
What's up?
Now, you've been in the chat many a time. How does it feel to actually be on the show?
Hey, it's good, man. Anytime I can hop on a podcast, it's a great time.
There you go. Let's see. Let me go back to my notes. Now, if you see me looking at my phone a lot, that's where my notes are.
You good?
Yeah, I am modern. I don't write down anymore. So, where we always start. Well, you know what? First, let's go back to this. We talked, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, about having you on, and I'll be honest. I had a lot of issues come up all of a sudden, back to back to back. Then I had the trip to Charlotte. We just happened to run into each other. 2 nights ago?
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I was
Yeah.
actually going to message you yesterday. So, life worked out. Life worked out. So, are you at the office?
Yep. Yeah, I had to find a view that wasn't like totally. Hopefully, it's not the image isn't too bad.
Hey, it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, this is like back towards where my desk is. It would have been nicer if I could have like pointed it towards the discs, but I think the lighting would have been worse.
Yeah, it's all right. And yeah, people don't mind. They're just here for the conversation and the knowledge that you will be dropping tonight. Did you remember the first time we actually met?
I think if it's when you got your gyro box,
Gyropalooza.
yeah, we're definitely looking forward to doing that again this year.
Yeah. I mean, now we got Eagle involved with it too. So that's, yeah. How did you get started in disc golf? The beginning question we always start with.
Yeah, I got started. I spent a summer with a musician whose name is Matt Papa. So I was kind of like interning with him, and the band would travel around. And whenever they would travel, they'd find a new disc golf location. So they handed me a disc. I'm gonna guess it was like a rock, probably like a DX rock or something. But it had like a Eagle Ivory stamp on it. Anyways, so played with them and then played that summer, got hooked pretty quick. So that's where I started. Back in like probably 2012 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Wow, wow. I mean, just think that's been 12 years now.
Yeah.
It's crazy that the older I get, the more I'm just like, wait, that was 12 years ago. Oh gosh. So which where was that y'all were playing at? It wasn't local, obviously.
No, we played everywhere because
Mm-hmm.
they traveled to like Arkansas, North Carolina. He lived in North Carolina at the time, so played some in like the Triangle. Uh, yeah, it was a pretty decent spread, probably all the way from Alabama, stuff like that.
See, that's really cool because my first, the first time I started, I always tell people I play like 10 times, and it was always Peaks View
Mm,
because as far as I know, this was about 2006, 2007. And I mean, I assume there might have been other courses around at that time. I don't know. So that's all we played. And I kept hole 10, hitting a tree, rolling down to the water. That's back when it had more water in it.
hmm
So I had to retire for like 15 years.
Yeah, I wonder if like the little Randolph course was in. That was probably the only other course in the area, unless like maybe Falling Creek.
Oh
I
my
wonder when
goodness.
Falling Creek went
I
in.
just played Randolph the other day. Now I got to go and see if I still have it on here. I think I deleted it, deleted the actual sign. No, wait. Randolph was actually put in 2010.
Mm,
It looks much older.
yeah, I just know it was there like before I got into the sport, and the
Hmm.
baskets are older, so I thought maybe.
Yeah, they got the vintage baskets.
Yeah, I wonder when Falling Creek was put in.
Mhm. Um, I would say that is probably close to that same time because I remember when Fallen Creek actually started as a little area when they just started making the thing, and that
Hmm,
was around 2008 2009. Because I
gotcha.
used to live like a quarter mile from Fallen Creek. Did you have a an athletic background, or did you just you just how did that come about? Yeah, because
Um,
I will be this question will be linked going into other things later on,
yeah, in terms of like
like
playing
play
or
sports
coaching.
and
So I was always, I mean, I played a lot of sports growing up,
hmm
but I wasn't really ever like really good at any of the sports necessarily. I was like probably just a little bit above average every time. Um, until like tennis. And then I was at a school that wasn't the best at tennis, so I was, number 2 and then number 1. But I dumped a lot of time into tennis, but like looking back, I don't think I was even like all that good now that I think about it and know what I know about tennis now.
I love tennis. I had a lot of fun doing that. Baseball was my sport though. I always loved baseball.
Yeah, I had one season of baseball and it was not good. So
Thanks for doing that. Yeah, there. Um, how did you start Overthrow?
Overthrow started because Mike and I used to work at a country club in town. And then he went to go direct over at Crosswhite, and his brothers were playing disc golf, and we went from seeing each other like every day basically to one day a week. So he's like, "Oh, disc golf." Like, "Oh, I'm playing disc golf with my brothers." Like, "Hey, I used to play disc golf because it for me it went. I dropped tennis when I got into college or like freshman year of college because I found disc golf, and I went hard in disc golf, and then I got a job in tennis, and so I dropped disc golf again, or I don't know how I said that. I dropped tennis, then I dropped disc golf, then I dropped tennis again, and now I'm back in disc golf. Um, but during that time, so we went out and played with him and his brothers, and then uh, it was like, oh yeah, I mean I was playing better than he was at the time. He hadn't been practicing. He didn't have like a collegiate disc golf background, so I was at a pretty severe advantage. And he's like, "Why does this keep happening?" I was like, "Well, you should do this. In tennis, it's like this. It's like this from tennis, you know." And then you do something else, and you're like, "Well, it's kind of like in tennis. You know how we do this? Well, it's like that." And then it was like another thing. You know, in tennis we do this. Well, it's kind of the same thing in disc golf. And so then I realized, oh, I can kind of see from developing my coaching eye in tennis, I had brought that over into uh, disc golf, which I had never expected to do. I'd actually, when I was in college, I had a channel with Hunter Thomas back in the day,
hmm
which I won't mention because it's kind of cringy for me to watch videos, and I hate for people to like go out and try to find them. But
I know what I'll be
um,
looking up later.
yeah, so uh, yeah, so I had already kind of delved into disc golf, and when Hunter and I had a channel, I had no desire. We actually had a video, like an intro video for the channel that was like, "We're not teaching form. I'm not teaching form. That's just not going to happen." And then now I'm here teaching form. What we're mostly known for.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we did that. Mikey ran into Paul in a Chipotle um, here in town, and was like, Paul, I would love to edit a video for you. And Paul was like, all right. And so Mikey was like had slated to film a video for Paul and edit a video for Paul. But he didn't know anything about tracking discs or anything like that. So he knew that I knew disc golf. And he said, I had offered either way. I don't remember if he said it or if I had offered, but it was like, well, I've got some kind of video ideas, some concepts that I'd like to film for disc golf. So he was like, yeah, I'll like help you start your channel, and um, it'll be good practice for Paul. I'll help you like film and edit a couple, and then like I'll basically leave you to it, Josh. And in my mind, I was hoping that the channel took off quick enough for him to be enticed
Mm-hmm.
to be a co-owner of the channel instead of being like Paul's employee. So turns out that that ended up happening. There's just the timing just worked out a little bit better, and the channel, the third video or something, the one that where it's like there is no reach back, kind of showed okay what this could be. So then co-owner Mikey stepped in. Yeah, that's kind of the origin story there.
I liked it the way you just worded that last part, the origin story, because on my comic book podcast, I have origin stories where I talk to people in the comic book community.
Yeah, Mikey's actually in the other room. They're watching Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. He's got some like guests over for something that he had planned.
Nice.
So it was like they just ran through that line like, oh, that's one tough origin story. So I guess I've got it on my mind.
Which, by the way, the first one was great. I have not seen the second one yet. So,
Yeah, I get them all mixed up.
so when did you realize that teaching is the road that you said, you know what, maybe I actually can do this, and maybe I can make something out of teaching?
Well, that like from the first like from before the first video of Overthrow, I
Mm-hmm.
knew that that could be a way because I was already a teaching pro for tennis at a country club,
Mm-hmm.
and then transitioning into director at that country club because my boss was phasing out. So um, we had already kind of looked in the space, and we knew like, okay, the teaching is just from what I could see, and there was more than what I could actually see at first. There was more
Mm-hmm.
teaching going on. I wasn't aware of how much was going on, but from what I could see when I first looked at it was like, where's the teaching? Like, this is not coaching. This is like theoretical knowledge. Like, I would never go this in depth with someone. Like you saw me on the tennis court the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like they're just like very simple cues. It's not a bunch of heavy mechanics, even though the tennis stroke is complicated and the serve is complicated. So I knew kind of right away I can come in and simplify and be what other tennis coaches on YouTube were to me. Um, and Mikey knew that he could do the value add on the video and editing side.
So, and this led to, early on. I just watched this video again yesterday. Uh, you with Simon.
Ah, yeah.
I mean, let's go to the disc golf portion of it first. That you found that he was a fan, not just because tell that story because you told it on there, which I thought was really really cool.
Yeah. Well, there's some like embarrassing parts about that too, but I'm pretty open book. So the um the whole deal with Simon was, when you have a YouTube channel, you're like looking at your YouTube studio and you're seeing like, oh, however many subscribers, however many views on this video, and you're just like refreshing all the time and you're like geeking out on it. So you can find that little tab that it's like your subscribers, and then it will order them by how many subscribers they have. Or it
Yep.
used to do this. I don't even know where to find it anymore because I stopped doing it. But I remember seeing it all the time. And then I remember just one day Simon Lazat like being our lead, like our top subscriber in terms of because he had like over 100,000. So it was like I remember shooting Mikey a picture, like look at this, and he was like, no way. And so then, yeah, so I had reached out to Simon like a time or two before that just to ask if it was okay to use some of his like slow motion video or something like that. Um, and he said it was totally fine. And then, okay, so this is the embarrassing part. Um, I'm not very good with social interactions, so this just highlights that. But it drops out. It only did like 90 days. So it's like your top subscribers from the last 90 days. So
Hmm.
then 90 days passes and then I don't see Simon's name anymore. I was like, "Oh man, he must have
Oh
he must have
no.
unsubscribed. I must have like angered him in some way and or he just like doesn't like our stuff anymore." So I had messaged him and I was like, I see that you've unsubscribed. Like, is it still okay if we use your form or like do you want to like revisit that? Because I don't know, you make videos and you make some people mad and you get mean comments and you
Hmm.
start thinking about all your interactions with people. Um, so he was like, "What? I didn't unsubscribe." And I was like, "Oh," and I figured out it was just a 90-day thing. So I felt so silly. But yeah, so I've had like lots of interactions with Simon that are some like that are really great and some where I just feel like a total uh weirdo. So um we had done the slow motion with Drew,
Hmm.
and the way that this was working was I was still working full time as a tennis director, and I was just working like lots of hours because my boss and another tennis pro left the same day, and that left me as the other full time employee. So then I had to take care of their two positions. So I had to make all the programs float. I had to, yeah, anyways, I had to take all the junior programs, all the adult programs, had to make those float, had to try to still cover private lessons. So it was just insane. Uh, yeah, so I was still working full time. We were still both taking like paychecks from our jobs. He was freelance videographer slash editor at the time. So I was all the money that was coming in from like Patreon and YouTube that I was doing on the side was just like sitting in the bank. So it's like, what do we do with this money that's like gonna help? So I was like, I was in charge of the marketing side of the budget. So we had paid Drew for his slow mo, and then it's like, we should try to get Simon slow mo. And so I just messaged him on Instagram on a Wednesday, and I said, hey, like, do you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, sure. I've got Saturday and Sunday available. It's like, what in the world? um, so we bought the tickets that Thursday, and then we went out to film with Simon. We filmed the slow mo video. We were on his vlog, and he was very nice to me. I was not playing well. I was in the very, very like middle of a form retotal. He's like, "How many strokes do I have to give you to make this thing competitive?" It's like, dude, you could give me 50. I don't know where this thing's going right now. And we're playing at pyramids, which is in some ways tighter than it would have been better in some ways to have played Maple Hill because at least there are some open holes there. But
Hmm.
yeah, so did not play good. But he was very gracious to me in the vlog and he kept the very few good shots that I threw in. Um, Yeah, and then we did Nick and Matt show, and we did an interview, which I'm sure is the one that you watched, an interview in his hot tub. It was just
Which should be an ongoing series.
right.
Hot
I
tub
have thought about
interviews.
running it back. My interviewing skills are not where I'd like them to be, but they are getting better. So, yeah, it was really fun how that came about. It was just we were just thinking about, oh, where should we do the interview here? And I was like, and he had mentioned his hot tub. I'm like, what if we just do it in the hot tub? And he looked at Mike and he was like, "Can we?" And I was like, "We got lav mics." And Mike's like, "Yeah, we can. Like, we can make that happen." I was like, "Let's do it." And the funny part about that is in the interview we're in our like clothes,
Yep.
and for uh Mikey's like, "What do you like? Did you bring clothes for this? Like, did you bring a bathing suit?" I was like, "No, I'm just gonna go in this." And Mikey was like, "Why would you just go in that? Just like take your shirt off, it'll be fine." And I was like, I'm just gonna go in this." And then we were downstairs in Simon's basement, and Mikey was like, "All right, so you're gonna change," to Simon. He was like, "All right, so you're gonna change," and then and Simon was like, "No, I'm just gonna go in this." I was like, "Yes." It's the weirdest thing to Mikey, but Simon and I were both on the same page there. It was great. Yeah, I've really thought about running it back. It would be really funny if there was just like hot tub in different locations, or yeah, just Simon cameos would be great. If Simon was just like the Matt Damon of disc golf.
Hey, that run it back at Worlds.
Yeah, but he probably has other bigger fish to fry at Worlds, I'm sure.
I mean, one of the things, two of the things I really got out of that interview was one, what did Mikey prank y'all by saying the camera wasn't working?
No, the audio.
The audio,
He was
okay,
saying that the mics were off.
okay,
So
because
for
I get
whatever reason, the mics were off, and so he had to use the camera audio. And this is what was even
gotcha.
crazier: is it sounded awful, by his standards for sure.
Mhm.
But
Just
yeah,
because that look of Simon looking back at the camera
yeah.
was so good.
And I'm not good. Like I'm not good if I had Simon's like, okay, well, we can just like redo it later. Excuse me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I can't redo that. Like, I will be so robotic if I have to. I'm like already bad enough in social
Hmm.
situations, but if I have to go through and try to get him to say the same like really good things that he said at certain points in time,
Hmm.
and try to lead the conversation the same way it went, uh, it would have been awful. I mean,
Hmm.
I haven't watched it back just because I don't. I mean, maybe I watched a little bit of it back, but I don't like the way that I interview. I really want to improve in that area. It was
Hmm.
really bad with Drew. That was the first one, and that was just absolutely horrendous. And then I went off script with Simon. I just had some things in my head that I wanted to talk about, and it
Hmm.
flowed okay. So
Hmm.
I was like, if I have to do this again, it's gonna be so bad. I really was not gonna do it again. But he said some really good stuff, so I'm glad Mikey was able to save the audio.
I mean, I'll tell you, I thought it was really good. And but that's just me. But the thing that came off for me is I really feel like he's a very authentic person. I
Hmm.
think he's truly not someone that wants the spotlight. I feel like he's authentic like that. Like he wants to go out and do his job and then go home and now at this time be with his family and stuff. I mean, it came off really really good. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, we've got just a fraction of what he has in terms of disc golf subscribers and fame.
Mhm.
So, and it just like ratchets up, I'm sure, exponentially as you go up, and the pressure for me even is really really high sometimes to deal with. Just like if I want to play a tournament and someone's like, "Oh, I love your stuff," and they're on my card, I'm like, this round's not going to go well because there's a lot of pressure for me, and I'm a
Mhm.
nobody. So for him, I'm sure. I mean, he could when we played Maple Hill with him. I mean, he just couldn't like he could not cut away from people. It was, I mean, he could when we were on the course, but I get stopped basically every course that I'm at, not
Mhm.
inside of Lynchburg. Um, so I can't imagine for him. He must get stopped multiple times, probably 20 times every time he goes to a disc golf course. I bet it's
Mhm.
just yeah, it's kind of a lot of pressure for him, I'm sure. And He
Wow.
just wants to
I
be
never even
like
thought about a
normal.
disc golfer being stop places until U.S. Women's last year in Burlington. I went down there to that. And after the first round, Hannah Blomroos was in first place.
Mm,
And I'm at a Walmart and she walks in, and I'm sure she would never expect anyone to recognize her at Walmart.
mm-hmm.
And I saw her, I was like, it's Hannah. I kind of walked over and I was like, hey, great round today. And she looked scared. And I was like, I'm just going to slowly back away. But I wanted to ask her for a picture, but I was like, not time, not the place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was at Burlington last year. Such a great venue. I
mhm,
was really hoping that they would bring US Women's back there again.
yeah.
Would have been nice because
Mhm,
I had a couple players playing in it, and I really had a fun time going down there. It was a great, you know, 4 days or whatever it was.
mhm. Yeah, I played. Well, we were going to play it Monday after, and I was so exhausted walking that course for 4 straight days, and I wasn't even throwing anything. I was like, great day.
Yeah.
But the regulator, I definitely want to go back down there and play that. We played the first like 6 holes, so I definitely want to get down. And then there's two other courses on that property.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I got to see them both because I had Junior on the other side playing,
Hmm.
but yeah, Lance did a really good job with the regular. I actually stayed with the course designer when I went down. We were on team together in
Hmm.
college, so it's so well designed. It's just incredible. The par fours were just really good, and
Hmm.
it wasn't monotonous. It was like, okay, really short, like tight landing zone, big up the hill, or like big bomber off the first, and then like controlled second shot for birdie.
Hmm.
Uh, really
Yeah,
good course. I wish I could play it. I was just chomping at the bit all weekend.
yeah. I mean, I that's a course. I'm hoping sometime in the next few months I get head down to Greensboro, then do Winston Salem and Burlington. Kind of a stay with one of my friends for about 3 or 4 days and hit a few courses down there. So,
Hmm.
and that's one I definitely want to get back to. So, um, you know what? I'll skip to this question, then I'll come back up. What is speaking of like great courses? What are some courses you've played that you're like, man, this is a great course?
Yeah. Number one is this course that we played when we traveled up to the New York Northeast Disc Golf Expo, which is not in New
Mm-hmm.
York. Um, but uh, it was James River Park. I don't know exactly where it's at along the path. I think it was like 2 hours out, but Mikey and I mean, it took it for me. I mean, and I played Maple Hill. I played some like really nice courses, but that one was so nice. And then Canaan, I actually really like Canaan down in Rock Hill because it's
Mm-hmm.
got the feeling of it's woods, but it's open woods. It feels like there's a lot of room there, even though you're, covered beneath canopy most of the time.
Yeah, I played Reedy Park.
Mm,
And I kind of felt that way about that. I felt like it's not a long bomber, of course, by any means, but like when I'm throwing, I'm feeling like it's tight, but I feel like I've got places I can throw it. And I really enjoyed that.
mhm.
So I need to go down there too. So there you go. We're adding more to the list. Um, what's one that you said, yeah, I'm never going back to that place?
Um, hmm. I'm sure there is one, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
So I'll tell you, like for me, Elk Creek is one I really have no interest in going back to.
Yeah, I like it. I usually play well there.
I just don't like there's like the T pad situation,
Yeah,
but and then I feel like there's holes. I'm like, there is no line here at all.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of courses that are just the things that bother me on courses are usually tee pads or signage
Hmm.
or just Oh, no, I still wouldn't even say that I'd never go back there. Yeah, I don't have any off the top of my head.
And the second one for me is going to be Independence. I've only
Hmm.
I played the first 11 a couple days ago, and it was just so hot and muggy. I just ran out of energy. But
Oh, anything in this heat is brutal.
and then the second thing about that course is I never knew if the pin was in the A or B position.
Mm,
I'm like I can't imagine trying to play the course. There's one hole, I think it was 8. No, it was 9. It's hole 9. It was kind of slightly uphill. Short was off to the left 270. Long was
mhm.
off to the right at 370.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, what were the distance again? That one's like
It said short was 270 just off to the right, and long was 370. And I'm like, if you have a good arm, which I don't, but if you have a good arm, you're like, okay, where am I supposed to throw this to? I don't know which one to throw.
mm,
And it got kind of annoying for me. Then
yeah.
again, it was also hitting every other tree on the course.
Yeah, if you're not playing good, uh Independence is tough.
Yeah, but it's one of those I am going to go back and actually record a full round on it, so I can check it off the box. It's one of those things I might end up playing and be like, you know what, maybe I do like this course. I didn't think I did, but maybe I do.
Yeah, that one is probably better just to diss down and chip.
Um, recently you've been putting out some teaching videos, and this one in particular kind of struck me is the one with the hula hoop,
Ah,
and I thought that was interesting. But then you've posted some images, or maybe it's full. No, it was image questions um, like when it was somebody was batting left-handed, and you kind of
mm-hmm.
showing your swing to it. And I'm like, well, maybe that's my problem. I'm right-handed, so and if you're swinging left-handed, that'd be your right hand arm coming through first. So it's like
Mm.
maybe I should be throwing left-handed.
Yeah, people with like a baseball or a golf background or something like that, it might be helpful to like explore that offhand for you.
Mm-hmm. Because I used to pitch a lot, and so my forehand is what I predominantly do now because of
Mm-hmm.
that. And I just can't get distance, but it'll happen. It'll happen. What are some like other teaching techniques that you think that's not like your typical everyday teaching technique that can help people?
Oh, I'm not sure that. Yeah, I'm not sure that I have any teaching techniques that are like mind blowing.
Mhm.
If you know coaching from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Um, I think the things that are undervalued are like I see other coaches coach sometimes, and there's a lot of value in letting people figure things out, not giving too much information,
Mm-hmm.
just letting people struggle through it a little bit more. So a lot of my coaching, I'll be watching and I'll just let them go through a bunch of reps, and then it'll be, okay, now do this. Okay, now do this. Okay, now do this. I think the thing that disc golf has been doing has been that the student has to understand why they're doing everything that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a double-edged sword. Some students might need that, but most coaching in most sports doesn't revolve around that. You don't have to know why you're doing every little thing, right? You want minimal viable information to get you to the finished product of good form.
Mm-hmm.
So my job is to take all the information and say, what's the bare minimum I need to give this person? So I really, uh, I really think that simpler is better, and I don't want to be the guy who's seen as the brainiac, as oh this guy's so smart, oh this guy knows it all. I'd like to keep all that information inside my head, and I do like to know all this stuff. But
Hmm.
if my students are understand, if my students understand everything that I understand, then I've done it wrong as a coach.
Right.
So it's you don't want all the thoughts that I have in my head. You don't want to be thinking about all these things. You just want
Yep.
just tell me, like, give me an action item, give me something I can attack, and then go to town. So different in the disc golf world would be less information and would be um, being accused of over simplifying a concept. So
Hmm.
I'd like to get there where people are like, this guy is making it. He's just not giving it enough. He's not giving all the information. He's making it sound way more simple than it is. That's where I'd like to get to.
So that was me when I used to teach mixed martial arts. I mean, there's sometimes that you just paralyze yourself with just too much in your head, and I've seen that in martial arts. I've seen that with people playing disc golf. It's just you can just see like the hamster running on the wheel, and then tripping and falling over himself,
Hmm.
and then the wheel keeps spinning, and he's falling down. I can see people like just thinking, okay, my hand is here, my elbow's here, my knee is here, my foot is here. I do this, and I'm like, no, just throw the disc, just throw it. And it's like that with martial arts. It's like hands here, elbow here, I turn here, I pivot here, my knee goes here, the elbow goes here, the hand is here, and I'm just like, "Nah, just throw a punch, just throw a punch."
Hmm. Yeah, there's like a really nice phase where you have to go through a bunch of that. You have to
Hmm.
go through, okay, hand here, they're going to respond with this.
Hmm.
You respond with this. And then you go through and you go really slow through the movements and you shadow with someone else. And then you pick up the pace. But then eventually you need that to turn into habit. You need that pattern to
Yep.
happen
Yep.
automatically. So, and then there's some stuff that you just, if you don't have to think about it, don't think about it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. When you're throwing or you're teaching throwing, because I've heard two sides of this. When you go back, do you want your head to where you can kind of still see target, or do you want to bring your head back and come through?
the head should be natural. That's
Mhm.
the most important thing. So I could show you like if you go to Kristen's Instagram and look at her throwing slow-mo, like her head's all the way back.
Yep.
It's here. She's here.
Hmm.
So obviously it's working, right? So but for most people, like if I was talking to someone over here, my head would be here, my shoulders would be here, right?
Right.
If my shoulders turned, my head would go with them. So it's just very natural when your shoulder turns for that to turn your head back. Now,
Hmm.
if you were looking forward and your shoulders start pushing it back, it might go back further, might go back just to here, right? If it goes back any further, then of course my head's going to turn more. But it should just be a very natural type thing. So don't avoid it going back. Don't try to watch the target the whole time. Um, Try to coil your shoulders and let your head
Hmm.
turn naturally. You don't need to like reacquire the target with your eyes when you're throwing a drive. You just know where your hand is going because you practice.
Yep.
So
All right. Who are some of the, because you've done analyzed a lot of players. Who are some of the ones that you just like you just watch them, you just enjoy just watching how they throw a disc?
hmm I mean, I like watching Simon, um, just because of how fluid it is.
Hmm.
Um, I like watching AB because,
I don't know how he gets that power. It's unbelievable.
yeah, he's just able to do things positionally at speeds that him and Wiggins are doing, and not many others. Albert Tom is great to watch. He just looks so slow.
I met him at US Women's. I was like, that is a cool dude.
Yeah,
I want to see him win a tournament and on the last hole just bring out the bazooka.
yeah. Just have like one of those party poppers, but it's like a big giant bazooka, like custom
Yes,
made party popper.
yes. Make like an 80-footer and then that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I like watching Hannah. I like watching Ellie Ezra.
She's gonna be special. She will.
Yeah. I mean, she shreds.
Hmm.
Absolutely pummels the disc.
Yeah, like my first, the first person I watched, and I was like, I want to be like that, and that was Paul Macbeth.
Mm,
It was just so smooth and so fluid, and it was just looked like he was just lobbing 500 easy,
mm,
and I was like, man, look at that. And then the second one, I was like, okay, now I could be more like this person, and that's Paige Pierce.
mm,
She's not 6 foot tall. She doesn't have long arms. She's not a big woman. She's a strong woman. But she just it's just the power she gets. It's amazing, and it's just so fun to watch.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I should have put Paige on my list. I mean, she really gets, I mean, pound for pound, she's
Mm-hmm.
just one of the best, probably.
Mm-hmm. And then you can put
Not
Emerson
probably. I
Keith in
think
there
she is
too.
one of the best.
Hmm?
I said not probably. She is one of the best,
Yeah.
pound for pound.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can put Emerson Keith in there. Paige Shue, I don't know how she's thrown that far.
Mm,
I mean, she looks like she's 80 pounds soaking wet. But
yeah.
it's incredible to watch. Um, when you're analyzing people's throw, is there a position that you think you kind of need to be in this position as you're throwing? Because I look at Ricky Wysocki, I look at Matt Oram, you look at Paul Macbeth, and you're like, these are completely different forms. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like there's a spot in there where they're all going to be in a very similar position. I but they go so fast I can't see it. I mean, do you see like in the pocket or anywhere?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, most of it's on a spectrum. There are positions that people do get in. For example, the like fully coiled position is very similar person to
Mm-hmm.
person. You're just not going to throw far if this is as far back as you get. This is you just have no room to throw. So there are things that I look for, and they're just kind of like ranges. Other than that, I look for general principles, uh, posture, balance. Um, I look for I look for their coil in relation to their their peak reach back to their plant.
Mm-hmm.
I look for yeah, lots of stuff. So
Have you had any of the pros give you any negative feedback?
no.
Thank goodness.
Uh
I was hoping you were going to say no to that question.
I mean they probably don't care, honestly. They
Yeah.
probably don't know we exist.
Yeah.
So
I
I
have
mean
found they don't know how to
if
take
they are, then I mean I've heard some pros uh I've heard secondhand things that were said at a clinic
it.
because
Mm-hmm.
someone's like, "Well, Overthrow says to do this," and then the person's like, "Well, I won't give away specifics, but they countered with,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I do.
disapproval."
I mean, this falls in the category of something else. I could be completely wrong, but I do think it's an individual thing that how a person throws is individual, but it also has some aspects that is universal.
Yeah, yeah, you can't just you're not going to defy all the biomechanics. You're not going to defy. You're not going to go to a distance comp and beat AB with form that looks completely different from him. You're not going to beat Wiggins with form that looks completely different from him. So, you know, James Conrad is not going to. It's like for that to happen, it's so rare. Amadio is so rare.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you're looking at anyone who's kind of created their own form, you might be like, okay, Matteo, even though he's not doing that many crazy things, it's it does look unique,
Yeah.
right? So you're Yeah, other sports don't do that. It's not like, oh, well, I'll just let my kid climb around monkey bars and hope that they turn into a gymnast one day. It's
That's a great analogy right there. Because
yeah.
my first thought was like a major league pitcher, because most of them go overhand, and every now and again you got that sinker ball, or again it comes
Hmm.
sidearm. It's like, wait, you don't belong here, but yet you're you're doing great things. So that's kind of cool.
Right. And even within that, you have submarine pitchers that are getting there the same way.
Hmm.
So if you if all the guys at the top are doing similar things and there's a pattern there, you're probably not going to fight that.
Let's see. We talked about best goes discs. What are some of the discs you would say? I mean, because again, this is also individual, obviously, but what are some of the discs that you think are some of the best?
Well, we're Clash sponsored, but I can talk about other discs, of course. But I really believe that Clash has some of the best feeling plastic out there. So the things that are not leaving my bag, for sure. And this is just personal.
Right.
What I think are best discs. But the cookie is absolutely amazing. I have so much confidence when I throw that. The peppermint, I just love how shallow that is. It's like a zone with a touch more overstability, perhaps. Yeah, with a bit more overstability, a little less glide. So that's probably never leaving my bag. Um, the popcorn has this crazy, like, hyzer flip to late turn. I've got it in hardy plastic. Um, oh, the glitch, of course, is a great disc. Um, yeah, I guess everybody's trying to make a glitch now, but yeah, very unique.
Yeah, when I first got a glitch, my biggest issue is it just hangs on my finger because it's just so deep,
Hmm.
and I'm just like, oh, okay, there goes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't use it. I don't use it like uh, like I'm
Oh,
holding here,
mm-hmm,
so the index finger is mostly out of the way.
mm-hmm. Almost like
So
putting for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can throw it like a putting grip,
Mm-hmm,
basically. So, and it's great for that because you don't need like all the snap out of the hand to get this thing to move. So,
mm-hmm.
actually holding it like this, um, I threw whole one, two, three longs at Independence, which is that downhill hole, right?
Oh
Tunnel
yes, it's
downhill.
straight. Yeah, straight downhill. It's got like little steps going down. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I was in the creek bed right there.
yeah, yeah. 10 feet to the left with a glitch.
Mm-hmm.
My card thought it was going in. It's just like it's got so much glide and it stays so straight forever. So the
Mm-hmm.
popcorn could do the same thing, or roughly the same thing, and have a little bit more dependability at the very end. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
I've never thrown any of them, but I love the names of them. That is so awesome. I love what they're doing with them, and their commercials. Uh,
yes,
Heidi Laney, which I know I'm mispronouncing her name because I'm bad at that, but I love those commercials. They're cooking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're a great company. They're really innovative.
Mm.
They're
See,
hip with the
I didn't know
times.
y'all were it was is it sponsored or what would they
Hmm.
call it? Sponsored?
Yeah,
Yeah, because gosh, I mean I throw so much latitude that I was like that's who I would love to be sponsored by, but I guess that's not going to happen.
yeah. You rack up any of the Did you get the fuse, the Ace fuse?
I have a fuse. I don't know which one it is.
Okay, because they ran a challenge, which I thought was a great idea, to
Oh, I
where
didn't.
they had a fuse. It was one of the Jonathan fuses, and it had like three little check boxes for you to check off your aces with it. And they had a competition. I wonder what happened with the competition. It's probably still going, I guess. But you filmed your ace with their fuse, and they picked like the best, however many, and you got a trip over to latitude.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Hey, I would say I love watching Jonathan's their videos and stuff. Their commercials are hilarious.
yeah, the best. I think the latitude commercials are the best.
I mean the one where he punched Johannes.
Yeah. Yeah, just subtle things about that are so fun. Like how they took the harsher of the two languages between um Estonian uh and English, right?
Mhm.
And they're just you have something to tell us and it sounds so much harsher and flatline in Estonian. And in the English, which is a more jovial language, they're just like, "Oh wow, Jonathan." So it's really they really pay attention to the details and it shows. It's just really cool.
What are some of the most underrated discs?
Underrated? Hmm.
Like for me, I love my Saint Pro, and I just don't hear very many people talking about that. Roadrunner, I use that a ton,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure that it's N of us. I'm sure that gets talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at my bag. Underrated. Yeah, I mean the popcorn. I'm going popcorn again. Popcorn's for sure underrated.
What are the numbers on that?
What are the numbers on that? 3301.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, 3301. Um
Do you throw your putters a lot?
a lot. Yeah, a lot nowadays.
Mm-hmm. See my
Yeah.
upshots. I mean, I don't care if it's inside 150 feet. I'm throwing my sole backhand on my Roadrunner forehand.
Mhm.
It's just I've just got so used to the touch with them. It's just
Yeah, underrated. Well, this is probably the most underrated disc that I know of, Chupacabra.
mm-hmm.
It is super beefy. I mean, it's everything that I wanted from I had to switch from like flat and firm
Mm-hmm.
Firebirds. So,
Is
yeah,
that Mint or Lone Star?
this is Lone Star.
Lone Star. Okay.
And if they go under, I'm I'm buying a ton of these. So 9304. But it's just so I mean, you could chop it. Just own Scoggins and it's coming out of it. So that's probably the most underrated, I think. But yeah.
Wow. I mean, I was just thinking, I don't throwing forehands. I'm still just baffled by how well she does it. It's incredible. Just massively overstable in everything she throws. It's incredible to watch.
Hmm.
All right, now on the pro side, who would you say is the best forehand, MPO or FPO?
Best forehand on the pro side, so it's not Eagle anymore because that would have been the obvious choice
Yeah,
back
until
in the
he tried to
day.
do that 360 forehand.
Hmm.
'Cause,
Let me think through FPO first. Yeah, it's tough because Kristen's forehand is so solid, but
mm-hmm,
it's not versatile. I
right.
feel like the ladies on the forehand side either have power or versatility on their forehand. So you take like Hokum, she's got
Mm-hmm.
versatility, but I don't think she can really crank it.
I
And
would
then
say
you
also
have
U.S. women. She threw it a lot further than I thought she did.
yeah, and then you have like Holland
Mm-hmm.
who can crank it, but it's not as versatile as Hokum.
Mm-hmm. See,
And
my
then
thought is Haley King on the FBO side.
yeah, underrated forehand, I think for sure underrated, but the best. I mean, it is pretty good. Yeah, I maybe Kristen though, just
Mm-hmm.
because she's so um she's just so like disciplined with it.
Mm-hmm.
So on the guy side, I mean Gossage has a good forehand.
Well, I mean, he gets
AB
that
has a
from his.
great forehand. I mean, AB might have the best forehand at the moment. Ricky has
That's
an
who I would have picked.
incredible forehand. Who else? I mean, Lance Brown, he's less known, but he's
Mm-hmm.
got power and versatility
Mm-hmm.
on the forehand. Doesn't throw it as far as perhaps Gossage and AB, I would imagine, but yeah. Oh, Big Germ's got loads of versatility and distance.
Yep.
So how can you not like appreciate that?
I mean, like him and Sexton. I mean, they're the OGs of the forehand.
Yeah, Sexton has lots of versatility, but not much distance. It's not that he's
Yep.
a super short thrower,
Yep.
but he's for sure shorter than those guys, and I think he would say that.
Mm-hmm. What about backhands?
I mean, backhands. AB's really turning on right now.
Oh, he's ridiculous.
I mean,
It is
AB just
ridiculous.
on course backhands. He just has the potential to blow everyone out of the water. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even like it's not even like it's a Garrett Gurthie who has an amazing backhand who just
I mean, I
like
still
he
have
just
Simon right up there.
Simon. Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, Simon and Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
How could you not consider those guys? But I think if I had to stick it like in one camp right now, I'd probably go AB.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to see Gannon learn a bit more on the hyzer side. I think he gets in trouble a little too
Gannon
often.
has a great imagination.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's throwing overstable stuff. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
always is looking for these Anheuser lines
Yeah.
that
I mean, they actually had to make a Mando because of one of the holes he played last year.
mhm,
Like, oh no, you're putting people in danger by going over that way.
right.
And he actually signed the Mando. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think AB just kind of does smarter things with his backhand.
I
It's
think
hard to say
I
because
think his
Gannon,
game is evolving and it's getting smarter. And I mean,
yeah.
you saw from last year to this year. I think he has progressed as much as anybody I have seen for a while. I mean, huge improvement over 1 year. I mean, and it's
Mhm.
not like he was a slouch last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's really just developed the short game.
Mhm. And then
It's
on the
great to see.
FPO side, for me, it's Evelina.
Evelina for backhand.
Yeah, love her
Hmm.
backhand.
Yeah. Her or Henna probably have the best C1 and reg stats with backhand, and they throw a mile. And
Mm-hmm.
Henna can do everything with a backhand.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably give Henna the edge over Evelina even on backhand,
Yep.
just because Henna from a standstill, like she'll be out of position, standstill, Anheuser backhand
Mm-hmm.
with like a Mako 3, and just she does crazy things with her backhand out of position. Evelina does too, but she's more of like
Yeah, she has to
a
have a run up to it.
yeah. And since she has a forehand, she doesn't have to do more impressive things with the backhand.
I think underrated forehand for her.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely don't think about it. I mean, Evelina's got it on both sides. That's what's so great.
Well, I said 2 years ago, I said if those two women could get their putting down, they would be almost unstoppable. They are so good.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, their C1 and reg stats, or I mean, strokes gained on the field, they
Mm-hmm.
were like first,
Mm-hmm.
first and second basically all the
And
time. So, and then they'd be last in the field in putting.
yes,
Like
if anybody ever says who's the worst putters I've ever seen, and I'm like, for a short period of time, Evelina was just brutal to watch on the green.
right. Well, that's been my putting experience. So you can throw my hat in there with them. I mean, I've for sure putted worse than them, and I'm sure I would have put worse than they put with the amount of pressure that they had.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
just the ability for, and I've putted and people have thought like, oh, is this a joke? Like you're joking right now.
Mm-hmm.
With how like you cannot try to be that bad, and it's like I'm really trying to make this.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
so
the last month and a half, 2 months is like I'm finally finding my putting, and I mean I'm not outside of C1. I'm rarely will ever make anything, but I do every once in a while. But inside of about 25 feet, I'm gotten much more consistent with that.
mhm. Yeah, my last like foe to be conquered in the coaching world is the spin putt. which is funny because it used to be my predominant putt when I was a great putter, like amazing putter.
Mhm.
So the yips are the darndest thing.
I'll tell you one thing that I have a huge problem with, and how do you get power if you're putting uphill when that back foot is below? I've tried straddle putting, and I don't have power straddle putting.
Yeah, usually people will put their feet closer together
I heard Paul
on the
Macbeth say
hill.
that one time.
Yeah, so when you have people who are stagger
Hmm
with their feet, you want to try to create the same rhythm with your feet um, that you have. So when you're going uphill, you have to put your feet closer together
hmm
so that you have more push. So it's going to be almost like a pin putt stance if it's somewhere at Independence sometimes.
Well, I mean, I always think of hole 8 at Peaksview
Oh yeah,
because I'm usually on the lower side of that. And I'm like my back foot is like a foot below my other one. I'm like I can't get anything on it.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be like right there.
Hmm So that's one thing I got to work. What's an area that you think you need to work on yourself?
Putting.
Yep. Yep.
Every other aspect of my game, with a little bit of practice, is perfectly fine. Perfectly like local pro fine.
Mm-hmm.
Putting is where like you get me at Timbrook or you get me at a CVCC, and I will lose to the MA4 players. I will throw one drive
I
and be
accept that
inside the
challenge.
circle, and then I'll go, and then I'll take a four. So
Gosh, what putter
yeah.
are you using?
Well, it's not the putter's fault, but I'm using
Oh, it
focus.
never. No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, it's beaded, kind of like
Hmm
a you know how everybody has their KC Pro AVR,
Yep.
kind of that. So,
I thought I had a
but
pure laying around here, but I don't.
yeah,
Yeah, pure is my baby. I love it. But I have the gold plastic.
hmm
So in this humidity and stuff, like my hand gets sweaty and it just wants to slide out. Like I've got to figure that out.
yep, yeah. Fortunately, I don't have that problem, but Dakota was having that issue today.
All right, wind or rain, which would you rather play in?
I would take wind.
Wow, I'm the only one that really truly hates wind.
Yeah, well, I would take wind because I have a forehand and a backhand.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's windy enough, I can throw a choop backhand if it needs
Mm-hmm.
to go straight or left, or I can throw a choop forehand. And the wind won't bother me that much. But rain messes with my forehand, so it takes my forehand monstrously out of play.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't have a problem throwing a forehand when the disc is wet or anything, but the backhand, it will just fall out. But wind, I'm just like, I don't know where the thing's going.
Mm.
My mind, I know where I think it should go,
Yeah,
especially on
yeah.
the.
I mean, that's where kind of the rich get richer. If you have distance,
Mhm,
then wind, you're like, bring it, because now I can throw something overstable with no glide. And even
mhm,
if I make a calculation error, it's not like the same calculation error as if you throw something really understable and the wind catches it and turns it over, turns it into a crazy roller, and or like just flips it to where like nowhere near the hole, and you're like, what in the world was that?
yeah,
So,
and I found that when I have to throw something slower, now the wind just wreaks havoc with whatever I'm doing.
hmm
Like I have an upshot or on the putting green. I know if it's behind me, it should push it down. If it's in front of me, it should lift it up. In
hmm
theory,
yeah, in theory, yeah, it kind of depends on the angle that you're looking at
yeah.
as well. Because if it's behind you, so if you're putting at me, right, and
Yeah.
it's behind you and it's nose up, yeah, then it'll push it down. But if it's here, then if you putt nose down, then it's not going to push you down that much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like, okay, it's coming at me. I know I should aim a little lower. It's like, like rain. I know what it's going to do to my putts,
right.
but But wind, I'm like, I am an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, even better for me if it's windy on the putting green, because I'm just gonna lay up anyways. I'll lay up and drop in, and these guys who are like good enough to give it a bid will soar it away. And
I'm not good enough to give it a real bid, but I'm good enough to watch it go flying by.
Mhm.
It's like that one tournament with Evelina. Again, I feel so bad for her. She was like 20 feet and she was laying up. There was no wind. She was just broken at that point. I was like, oh.
That's me. It feels so bad. I cannot explain how bad it feels.
Is there any pro that you watch and you said, well, let me try to do like they are doing?
I've taken pieces from like everybody. Like there are times where I'll be like, you know what, I just need to turn into Paul Macbeth here and just drive like Paul drives. And just
Mhm.
for example, um, sometimes in New London there are gaps that you need to hit where you actually want to finesse like a driver. And so you want to throw a driver almost like an approach shot and just finesse with your hand. So
Mhm.
I'll just think like, okay, let me take this skill set from Paul. Okay, let me take this other skill set from like Simon. Let me try to take this skill set from so and so. So I just try to emulate. I try to take the things that I think people are doing the best and just integrate those.
Well, I meant like on the putting green.
Oh, on the putting green. Well, currently I'm doing Simon's. I'm going through. I'm uh I'm going through Simon's like spin putt.
Hmm.
So so I've just decided that I'm gonna learn all the putts and just be good at all of them at some point. So right now I'm on Simon's spin putt and I can do it. I've always been able to putt far. So that was never really an issue for me. So I've got the spin putt down. It's just making sure that it's not missing left or right.
Hmm.
The hardest part. So but yeah. I don't know who people should emulate on the putting green. Um Yeah, I'm
I
not
mean,
sure that I
I've
would have a specific recommendation.
yeah, I mean, I've started just trying to throw more like Paul Ulibarri. I mean, he went how many like putts in a row, not missing outside of C1.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that because his stat is so incredible,
Hmm.
but it's unconventional.
Yep.
But again, I'm open to
Yep.
it being the way, but it just seems like the way that he pulls it like across his body and how the
Hmm.
line's diagonal. Now he's playing on the hyzer a bit, but again, hard to argue with a guy that puts that well.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is I've started like being like stagger, but almost being have my feet straight in line with the basket, like both of my
Hmm.
feet, and then
Yeah.
taking it back to my back hip and
Hmm.
coming out, and somehow or another I've actually started making putts. It's mind
Yeah.
boggling.
Yeah. And yeah, that's very Paul. That's very Yuli-esque,
Hmm.
and I've heard people that have like copied him and seen great results. So
Hmm.
it's unconventional to my eye, but I'm not knocking it if it ultimately putting's about being consistent and repeatable.
To
Which
quote Elaine King, you have to be confident.
yeah, so
I used to watch Elaine King, and I don't care how far the putt was. If it missed, well, they just weren't confident enough. It's like it was
yeah,
85 feet. Have they
yeah.
just been more confident?
I've missed very confidently many
Exactly.
times.
Exactly. Somehow or another I accidentally made some that I was unconfident with. So that's rare, though. Very rare. Very rare. Who are some? Do you watch live coverage or would you rather watch prepackaged?
I watch live.
That's so am I.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, I know.
I've got a couple players that I'm really following. But yeah, I mean, I like to see the decision making in real time.
Yep.
I like to see what's happening. I mean, it's kind of my job. So I can't really leave the stuff on the table that's like pre-shot routines, and they're cutting back and forth between, but there's
Hmm.
so much that happens between that gets edited out in post.
Yeah.
Plus, I get to see I get to see it happen. So
See, that's how I am. I love to see. I mean, to me, it's like watching a baseball game, a football game, or a tennis match, or a hockey game. Then just watching like 5 minute highlight. It's like, well, it's there a whole lot of other stuff happened.
hmm
So for me, it's like watching the full coverage. Watching, I mean, now they're basically showing the top two cards. So I mean, I love it. I mean, granted, you have to have 4 or 5 hours for MPO and then another 4 or 5 for FPO.
hmm
But I'm a sucker, so I watch it all.
yeah, I'll go like I'll teach a lesson, and then like when the lesson's over, I'll hop back on, and then I'll prep for the next lesson, do the next lesson, hop back on, and so I get it in like spurts.
Who are your favorite announcers?
Oh, Sexton's great. Brian's great.
I love Brian on course commentary. I
Mm,
absolutely love him. He is
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah. These European announcers are
I don't know
great.
who the
As
gentleman was today um with Juliana
with
Korver.
Nate. Oh, with Juliana.
I mean today they're in was it Finland? Is that where they are this week?
Um, that's a good question.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
they
sure
are
it's
in
in
Finland.
Finland.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait. Crokle. Probably. I don't know. I don't know.
But
I'm sorry.
anyway, like it's Juliana, and I'm not sure what the gentleman's name is, but he's fun to listen to.
Yeah, I know, and I'm gonna butcher the name. I know the guy that was doing commentary with Nate Perkins today. His name
I
is
think it's the same guy.
Esa-Pekka Tupala. Tu Tupala, probably.
Yeah,
Tupala, I bet would be how you would say it. But I totally butchered his first name. But yeah, I
find it
I
right
like
there.
what they're doing over there. Leave it to the Europeans to like make a really good production.
Hmm.
So yeah, Climo's great too, and Corver. I mean,
I adore Corver. I'm not biased because she was on the podcast, but
mm,
she is phenomenal.
yeah, yeah. As a coach, I enjoy listening to the little tidbits that Climo would put in,
Hmm.
where it would be, yeah, the issue is the way that the screen is set up. You really want to throw a whatever in here, and he'd get into the color. He'd get into the technical commentary. Uh, it was just really good to listen to. It gives me things to think about more. I always
Hmm.
want kind of the why.
Yeah, it's a less is more type of thing, and it goes back to the teaching aspect of it. Sometimes if you give them too much, it's going to butcher everything. But if you just give them a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, next thing you know, oh wait a minute, now we're getting the full swing. I think
hmm
it's the same thing with commentary because I used to watch baseball and stuff. I mean, there were some announcers they just won't stop talking, kind of like me.
Yeah, I think about tennis, just the big moments. You're just you can feel the air sucked out of the booth, and then at the end of it, it's just Federer waving his Wilson wand. What an oil painting of a backhand, and it's just really pointed, um, but not too much.
Yeah, so who was your favorite tennis player? Was it Federer?
Yeah,
Dude, I just watched his documentary. The
12
the
days.
the last yeah. I loved watching him play. He was so smooth. He was so easy and just a magician out there.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that Djokovic is doing so well.
Well, we're gonna have a fun battle tomorrow between him and Alcaraz. See if Carlitos can take it down again.
See, I got to be honest. When Federer left, I was kind of like, that's the last of the players that I really loved watching.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ace baby.
And
Hello,
then
Rebecca. She caught right toward the end. Do you have any links you want to talk about? Because I've got some right down below.
I'm the only links really is We do private lessons via our Patreon, so that would be the big one, which
Hmm.
I think you have below. So
Yeah, I got your
yeah,
Patreon. I've got Instagram. We have YouTube. Definitely, if you're not sub to them, definitely go over, check them out, support them. Always great. Yeah. Got anything else? Because I actually ran out of my questions.
I mean, I'm down for whatever. I don't have anything personally.
Favorite local course?
Um, Lynchburg local, we play Sandusky all the time. It's a great
Hmm.
course. It's a nice kind of like tweener. You get to you get to throw some long drives. You can do some technical stuff. It's not too crazy. You get to have a
Hmm.
good time for the most part. Then maybe Falling Creek if I'm going to Bedford.
I don't like Falling Creek. I
Yeah,
need some woods.
right. Well, I like to throw far.
Well,
So,
I can't do that either. So that's another reason.
right. Yeah. So, yeah, New London's been growing on me. I've been liking trying to attack New London recently.
I'm assuming that you're going to Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
there,
I'll be interested to see where they pack everybody in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear they're ending at Ivy, so I'm not excited about that.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't seen Ivy. Have you seen Ivy
Well,
already?
I have not been to the disc golf course, but I used to play golf over there,
Mm-hmm.
and that back well they're playing on the back nine, and it is so hilly. And then I'm thinking it's going to be really hot in August,
Mm.
and it's on a golf course, so it's not going to be any trees out there.
Have we already hit the highest part of the year yet, or no?
It's usually in August.
Oof.
I mean, maybe the humidity will be low. That's the only thing we can hope for.
Yeah, I feel like golf course just with that grass, the moisture from the morning is just going to be so muggy.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Are there any players that you are anxious to see? Or anxious is probably the wrong word, but you really want to see play in
At
person?
Worlds,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a couple students that are playing, and then I've got some pros that I've worked with in the past,
Hmm.
and during the off season stuff that I want to see play well. So I've got a couple people I'll be following. I've taken the week off of coaching lessons, so that I can be there for a couple players and run around and hopefully be helpful in some way to someone.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think I have seen just about everyone play in person, but I have never seen Paige Pierce play in person. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her in person playing because, like last year she broke her ankle, so I didn't get to see her play. So I'm so excited to see her play.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
would like to see. I think there is a distance comp at Worlds. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see AB give that a go. There is a distance comp at Worlds, right?
I, I I don't know, but I'm trying to figure out where they would actually even have it at.
I think they're having it in that field above hole 6.
Give me hole
Let me
five.
see. I'll be at the World's Distance Competition. Yeah, hole
Hole
5.
hole
That's what I
five.
meant.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm just trying to think, is it big enough?
Yeah, I would think it's long enough. I mean, for sure, it's at least. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel
you
like
know
it's
what?
at least 800 feet long. At
Is it?
least
Right. Huh.
it's got
I
to be
mean,
longer. I mean, it's got to be comparable to the Lynchburg College field, if not a little
mhm.
further.
Yes, I haven't. I mean, I parked up there once or twice, but I just never paid much attention to how long it was. Like at the Battle of
Mhm.
Bedford, I just went up there and parked and watched people playing on that hole.
Yeah, I think that's where they're doing it. I could be totally wrong. I could have
Hmm.
just made that up and I didn't know it.
because I think that I saw that they were going to have vendors and stuff right there.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
could be wrong. You know what? I could be wrong on that too. So I don't mind that.
Yeah. No, you might be right there. But what was well, anyways,
I'm,
if
I
I
know
blab, I'm just gonna say more stuff that I don't know anything about.
I know the driving range is not long enough for that for the MPO.
Yeah. Oh, the driving range for sure. They're not doing it there. Yeah,
I
and it's
mean,
not wide enough.
and well, yeah, that too. But and the signs on the 100 footer is like 90 feet, and the 200 is like 218 according to Bushnell.
Mm, interesting.
Because when I'm throwing, I'm like, man, I can't even get 200 feet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rebecca's going to be there too, so that's cool. Say, are there any? So there any pros that you haven't seen play in person?
A lot, I think. Well, actually, I have seen AB play in person at Worlds when it was at Emporia. So
See, that's a course I
he
want to go
threw
to.
it really far, but it wasn't like I was standing behind the tee box or anything.
Hmm.
So I'd like to see it a little closer. But yeah, most of the pros I haven't seen play, I would say.
Yeah. See, I mean, I just went to U.S. Women's and the Pro Tour Championship last year. That's the only two that I've gone to.
Yeah, no, we went to Worlds when it was in Kansas.
When was that?
When Paul won his last one.
Oh, so that was just 2 years ago.
Hmm.
It was wow. Who won last year?
Robinson, Isaac.
Yep, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
You know, W.R. Jackson is a place I'd like to go play.
Yeah, I think
They have some kind
it.
of a bug infestation down there right now.
Yeah, yeah, they had to clear a bunch of it out.
Oh, um, Rebecca wants to know: are you allowed to say some of the pros you've worked with?
Um, yeah, probably. Um,
Say maybe not. Hey,
yeah, I'm trying
no
to
one's
think.
ever going to see it on my channel.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. So I've worked with Evan Smith. He's got some. He's been on some of the videos on the channel. So we
Mm-hmm.
worked heavily on form stuff last year. Um, I'm trying to think of if anybody wouldn't want me saying anything. They're probably fine. I've worked a bit with Andrew Marweed, um, just on backhand stuff.
All right, you need to get putting advice from him.
Yeah, I would pay 2 grand right now to the person who could fix my putt. Like that would be the easiest 2 grand I ever spent. And believe me, I got his slow mo for his putt, and I've like looked at it a bunch. But that's a different type of putt. Like I can do a push putt and I can do a spush putt. It's a
Mm-hmm.
spin putt. Like I'm very adamant. Anyways, I
Yeah.
could talk about that. So, uh, yeah, and there's probably some players that Rebecca has played with. But yeah, I worked a little bit with Holland 2 years ago, so not recently. She's pretty self-coached though, but we talked about things here or there. Um, so we did that was like very brief work, so I don't want that to seem like we were talking every day and all that stuff.
Wait, Holland
Um,
is a great teacher too.
yeah,
I mean, I see her. I don't know if she still does them anymore now, but she used to do Instagram tips.
mm,
It was like
yeah, the
Tip
Pro Tip
Thursday or Tip
Tuesdays.
Tuesday, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wonder. I haven't really seen him recently either. I wonder if that's because she joined up with Power DGA or
yeah. See, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I don't see why that would affect that. Maybe
I
she just
wouldn't
got
think so,
busy.
but you know,
Yeah, she probably just got busy.
hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of pros about being on the channel, and it's like a lot of like we wouldn't mind it, but it's just so busy.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm like totally understand.
Yep.
Any on the FPO you've worked with?
The FPO player that I've worked with the most is Emily Yale. So
You got to see her last year in Battle of Bedford, I think.
yeah, she's playing good disc golf right now.
Mm-hmm.
So she currently, anyways, yeah. So she's kind of like she's moving from kind of like third rank FPO up to like second rank FPO. It's like a clear, in my mind, there's like a clear division where she's, yeah, just like looking at Kansas City, she's currently in sixth,
Nice.
behind Vanessa Van Dyken. And then there's like a separation between like fifth and then the top four are in like another class
Mm-hmm.
almost. So you've got these people, these ladies that can throw, 1,000 rated rounds, and that's like the upper echelon of like you got a chance to win the tournament if you can throw 1,000 rated rounds. Put a couple of those together. So Emily's getting to that point where she's throwing up a couple 950 rated rounds, and yeah, right now
Nice.
her event is. Anyways, I could talk about. I follow it. Emily and I we talk and we have a great time, and so that's like one of the FPO players that I'm working with on an ongoing basis. But most pros, I don't think, get coaching. It's a very weird thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it's
Mm-hmm.
weird to them.
All right. We'll kind of end it here shortly. Let's go to Worlds predictions. Who's winning? I want to know who you think will win, and then who you think would be a surprise winner.
A surprise winner. The person that always does like sneakily well at Worlds is like Greg Barsby.
Yep.
I don't know how, but he'll like sneak on a lead card, and you'll be like, "Is this guy winning Worlds? Like, what's happening here?" So, but the courses, I think New London just demands a little too much distance for that. So you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for a woods golfer. I think they're only playing two of the 5 rounds in New London.
It's two
But
two at New London and three at Ivy. At least
mhm.
that's the last I saw.
Yeah, so you're looking for someone who can make moves in the woods. Someone like Chris Dickerson's going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I would put that as kind of like a surprise winner for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Is like Chris could definitely win it because he's got the distance in the open as well. Um,
He's got a great overall game. It's
yeah, and he's a monster in the woods, and he plays well every time he comes
Mhm.
here. So
Hey, when he's in Tennessee, he always wins, and we're real close to Tennessee.
yeah, yeah. So I think Chris would be kind of the surprise winner. James is going to do okay probably. He does well in the woods. For whatever reason, James is like really good in the woods. I don't think he's going to win it just
I'm,
because
I'm
the
trying to
open
think of a
course is going
couple
to
of
play too
holes.
heavily.
Do we have a long enough runway for him?
Might be a factor.
I was literally just thinking hole 4 at New London. Can he run far enough to throw that one?
Right. Well, that was just a little shorty uphill. But yeah,
But
that's going to hurt
he
him.
still needs his 50-yard dash.
Yeah.
I love
I'd
watching him
like to
play.
see
Though.
someone try to get a backhand up through there. That's just a tough backhand hole.
Mm-hmm.
So Isaac, I think, will do well. So I think both the Robinson brothers will do well.
I think
Gannon's going to do
Ezra will
well.
do good until the last round. Ezra will collapse in the last round.
You know what? I think I'm going to put it down as I'm going to put Calvin as the winner this year.
Ooh.
And by the way, I guessed Isaac as the winner last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I did not save that Instagram story, and I wish I had because he was like not a pick that people would have had. So,
Nope.
but I'm going Calvin this year because his eagle in the woods is the exact shot that you need in New London.
Mm-hmm.
15 times out of the 18 times you throw a tee shot, and he's got the distance out in the open. So, yeah. Even though Gannon's playing good and Ricky's playing good, and the thing is Ricky can really light it up too.
AB is going to eagle. I'm calling it. He's eagling 10 or
Yeah.
9. Excuse me,
Well,
9. 9. Oh, 9.
yeah. Well, Chris did it. Like I think Chris almost got it last time he was here because he
Who
had
that?
an Instagram story. Dickerson.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was like on top of the second hill off of his tee shot, and then he threw
Good
his second shot
Lord.
like underneath the basket, or I mean,
What?
like up towards the basket. It was like a real short reel. It might have been on Ledgestone's Instagram page, but yeah, it was
How?
like this is where his first shot went, and then he threw his second shot. I was like, no way, no
Wait,
stinking way.
at the Battle of Bedford?
It was before that,
Okay.
but they were doing some like promotional stuff. Nate was.
I mean, the second hill he got on top of with his tee shot?
Yeah, it was really far. I just
That
remember
is
thinking
really
like,
far.
dang, did he get all the way over here? I
Oh
mean, I knew
my
this guy
gosh.
could crush, but yeah, find the reel. Um if you want to see it. So I think it's on Ledgestone's page. You
Hmm.
have to scroll back forever to whenever Battle of Bedford was, because this was just preceding that.
Let's see. Who do I pick in the MPO? You know what? Based on how he's played the last 2 years, I say this is a surprise pick. Paul Macbeth.
Yeah,
It's his course. He has not
he can
played
do
well the
it.
last 2 years. I'm sorry, he hasn't.
Yeah, no, he can do it though.
Yeah, and it's
He can do it.
worlds. He has a way of finding himself to the top. But if I had to pick one person right now, is it Gannon? Can Gannon finish? Gannon can finish out.
I just think it's tough with the amount of Anheisers that Gannon throws to get through New London
That is true.
unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be very wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Man,
So
I think I'm going Gannon. I think. Yeah, the young man come through with a big win. What about FPO? And I feel like I'm cheating by saying Paul at New London as an underdog.
right. I mean, FPO Kristen will take it again probably. Just because over 5 rounds, she just plays such high percentage shots that she's just going to get in less trouble than other people. She's just going
Mhm.
to high percentage them to death. So maybe maybe Anakin can
She's been playing
give her a
really,
run
really
for her
well.
money. Own is not. She does not have the room to flex at New London like
No,
that
not
on
at
her
all.
forehand.
That's the one thing I worry about her because she's going to have a lot of skips going into the OB right.
That'll be fine on the golf course. That'll be
Mm-hmm.
fine at Ivy, but she's gonna have to throw a lot of backhands at New London.
Mm-hmm.
So, which she can do, but it's much easier to throw a 400-foot straight backhand than her 300-foot straight backhand. Like
Mm-hmm.
Kristen's just gonna go 400, 400, 400, 400.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's gonna go 300, 300, 300 and have to do it, one time every
We got
hole.
one extra time. Yep.
Yeah. So.
I'm calling for Paige to get that 6th title.
Yeah.
I know she had one good tournament. She's kind of struggling and stuff, but I'm not, and I'm that's not gonna be my underdog pick. But Silva Sarnen, I think she's gonna be my underdog pick, even though she won just 5 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she can definitely do it. Nice little hyzer flip game.
I mean, you mentioned Holland. I think she's going to play really well at this course. Um, I want to. I really want Ella Hansen to play well at it. I just think she's going to find a way to just be OB a lot.
Yeah, it's hard when you've got power players like that because you have to be you can't just be a power player. You have to like stay inside the fairway. So you can't go to your overstable stuff all the time because you're just going to skip into the left side yeah, it's going to be tough. The nice thing though is if Holland pulls out that Buzz SS a bunch, she's going to be in great shape. So that'll be good. But yeah, I think you're going to want someone who's got a nice hyzer flip game at New London, and that, yeah.
Trying to
And
think.
Kristen, yeah, I think Kristen will take a bunch of strokes at New London, and then she'll just do what she always does and be ahead, and then just play super high percentage at the golf course,
Mm-hmm.
put pressure on people to try to make birdies, and they'll make mistakes. Now, you know who could do well is Henna. Hannah and Evelina could do really well
I would
because
say
the
Evelina
distance
can.
mitigates the need for putting, right? So I can play well at New London without a putt because you just throw further the people in your division, you're good to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I want Henna to win a major. I want her to win a major really bad because just her being so consistently in the top three with her putting is is astounding to me.
Hmm.
It's baffling. I mean, she gets that putting down. I would say Henna, but Evelina, gosh, I would love for her to win.
Hmm.
I think for me, just she's battled through that putting thing, but the way she drives, she looks like she's throwing it a long ways.
Hmm.
You look at some players, they don't look like they're throwing it very hard. She looks like she's putting everything into it every single throw.
Hmm.
So that's why I want her to win. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't.
yeah. No, I love Evelina. I hope she does. I hope she does well. I hope the putt is here to stay.
I think I have an Evelina rookie card in here too.
Mm,
Yeah, I collect cards. I'm such a nerd.
yeah.
All right, man. I think I've ran out of topics. But hey,
Great.
if you ever want to be back on, please let me know. If you want to collab on anything, just let me know. It'd be a blast to just get out and just play around or something sometime. But like I say, I mean, schedules are so tough anymore. But like I say, if you ever
Hmm.
want to, just drop me a message, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just give me a shout.
Mhm.
Saturday evenings, I can do
All right, cool,
mostly.
cool, cool. Well, that's all we got. Again, Overthrow Disc Golf. Check them out. Patreon, Instagram, got the links down below. YouTube, all those things, and just again, great instructional channel. I mean, if Simon Lazat says it's good stuff, it's good stuff. So, anything else?
That's it, brother.
All right, and you guys have an incredible day.
Thanks, Daryl.